Healthy Scratch Red Wings Report, presented by 5v5hockey.com.
Yo, welcome back to the Healthy Scratch Red Wings Report. It's Buschy with you once again. Let's talk about Alex DeBrincat. A few weeks ago in my off-season targets video, Alex DeBrincat was my number one guy that the Red Wings should target, during the free agency period with a trade. Obviously, he's a restricted free agent. He's with the Ottawa Senators right now. The situation with Alex DeBrincat is turning into a carnival. The Ottawa Senators GM Pierre Dorion is just playing chicken with every other team in the league and with Alex DeBrincat and with his agent. This saga has kind of got to the point where I want it to be done. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, man, can we have a resolution here? Like, either trade him or don't. We know that landing DeBrincat would be a natural fit for the Red Wings. Playing on the wing on that top line, having a two-time 40-goal scorer is something we haven't had since Marian Hossa. Henrik Zetterberg has done it once, right? But it's been a long time since 2009. So we're looking at this from the Red Wings perspective first, and then we'll go look at from the Senators perspective. The Red Wings obviously need a top goal scorer to play alongside Larkin and Raymond and Perron and Comfer and all these guys in the top six. Adding Alex DeBrincat would be a no-brainer. We have talked about the cost, and I think that's something when we talk about the Senators, I think that cost is changing as the market dwindles. So when it comes to Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings, we look at Alex DeBrincat, we say, okay, this is someone that we want to target, makes sense, but he's a restricted free agent. There's control over his rights. Then there's, what is this contract going to look like if we do basically a sign and trade? Also the fact that we're dealing with a team that's within our division, which Steve Yzerman said doesn't really matter. You only see them a few times a year, but I think it does matter. You don't want to make your direct competition better. So you're weighing the fit on your team, the contract you're going to have to give him, and the assets that you're giving up. Does that all make sense? For the Red Wings, if you get to a point where it's, Kubalik and a second-round pick, or Kubalik and Boston's first, and you're like, you know what, that's fine, let's pull the trigger on it. We need to figure out how much is Alex DeBrincat going to make, what does he want, how long does he want to sign. The only thing that we know is Alex DeBrincat doesn't want to sign long-term in Ottawa. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to sign long-term elsewhere. We also know that Steve Yzerman does not just hand out 8-year contracts. He's done it with Dylan Larkin, and that's basically it. I mean, he's eventually going to do it with Mo Seider and probably Lucas Raymond, but that's your young, talented core. Alex DeBrincat's 24 years old. I don't think it's a big deal to give him a 7-year deal, 8-year deal, but I don't know if Yzerman's going to do that. On the flip side, I have really wondered if the reason that Yzerman is being stingy about getting Alex DeBrincat is the term and the money on the contract. I will just ask, why is it okay to give Andrew Kopp a 5-year contract worth $5.5 million, but we're not going to give Alex DeBrincat 6 years and $8 million? Why not? The guy's a 40-goal scorer twice. Andrew Kopp might have 40 goals in the next 2 years, if we're lucky. Sometimes with these contracts they're handing out, even if you look at a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi. I know we're going a lot off topic here, but Tyler Bertuzzi was kind of deemed as okay. Maybe he's not a fit, or maybe we just want the assets. We'll get the first round pick and a second round pick for Tyler Bertuzzi because they didn't want to give him a 7-year deal or an 8-year deal. At the same time, you can look at it and go, well, we're giving it longer contracts to JT Comfer. If you want to say 5 years is long, we're giving a long-term contract, 5 years to Andrew Kopp. What is an extra few years at that point if you're going to go for Bertuzzi? Or what we're talking about right now is Alex DeBrincat. Why not? Now, looking at it from the Senators' side, this is something that maybe a lot of us haven't really looked at it from the Ottawa point of view, where they're coming from. Number one, they picked up Alex DeBrincat in last year's draft for a first-round pick, which was 7th overall, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. They've had DeBrincat for 1 year. He's restricted. They thought, hey, we're going to sign this guy to a long-term deal. He's going to be part of our core. He's a young player. He's going to want to be here. Well, that's not the case. So if you're Ottawa's GM, Pierre Dorion, wouldn't you want to recoup the assets that you gave up to get Alex DeBrincat and get those back? Of course you do. So you're going to want a high draft pick. You're going to want maybe a roster player or a prospect, something that's going to equal a first, a second, and a third. The problem with that is that I don't think at this point Alex DeBrincat is worth that because of the market. Now, if you look at it in a vacuum, you can do this with any player. you plug one player and another one into like a trade machine and it analyzes it and goes, fair deal, or, oh, this team won the trade. I don't know how they would determine that, but there's tools out there you can do it. And I've talked about this with one of my buddies, Hursty. He has no clue what leverage means. And right now, I honestly think that Ottawa doesn't have a ton of leverage, because what are their options? Option one, they trade him, right? Now, they would have traded him already if they had the price that they wanted. The problem with it is I think that price is slightly going down, because teams like Detroit and the Islanders or whoever is going after Alex DeBrincat knows that Ottawa is on a timer. Because at one point, they either have to bring DeBrincat to arbitration, which means a judge is basically going to say, here's what you're worth, and you're going to get a one-year deal, which is maybe what DeBrincat wants, because that gets him to free agency, UFA, next year. He'll be unrestricted. He can sign wherever he wants for however long he wants, right? 7 years is the max. But then Ottawa walks away with nothing. Option two is you sign him to a one-year deal or arbitration or whatever it is. You try to move him at the deadline. Are you going to get the same assets at the trade deadline than you will right now? I don't think so. I really don't. I think what's happening right now is they need to move him for whatever they can get him. Because here's what's happening. Option number three is you have to move him now and then sign somebody. There's rumors that Ottawa is in on Vladimir Tarasenko. You know what's holding it up? Probably this Alex DeBrincat thing. Because do we need to replace him? Is he going to be here? What are we getting back? Are we getting a roster player? Are we just getting a pick or a prospect? Ottawa is in a bind right now. And if people are getting a little bit frustrated with Steve Yzerman, if they're truly in on Alex DeBrincat, I think Yzerman is playing this perfectly. I really do. And I know I sound like an Yzer bot right now, but in terms of leverage and just waiting, if somebody gets Alex DeBrincat just like immediately and it was at the draft, it probably would have been an overpay. But now, because no one really called the bluff and went, all right, we're just gonna wait. We're gonna wait you out and see what you want to do until you get desperate. I think Yzerman's playing it properly. You want to try and drive the price down. You get a 2-time 40 goal score for like way less than we thought. That would be amazing if, you open up Twitter and you're like, or the Red Wings report, and you go, oh my God, they got Alex DeBrincat for a second-round pick and like a lower-tier prospect. Unbelievable. How did that happen? Because Yzerman waited, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited, and he's squeezing the Senators, and hopefully we get something out of them. Now, it might not happen. I think it's still on the board. I think it's something that like now, because free agency is done, it's something Yzerman can work towards. So I really, really hope it happens. One of the biggest problems right now is teams can't talk to DeBrincat's agent, and they can't really be like, well, what is he looking for in a contract? That's what was reported, is that Pierre Dorion was not allowing DeBrincat's agent to talk to teams that were interested in, which is pretty dumb. If you're looking to trade a restricted free agent, a team isn't going to trade for him unless they know he's going to sign a contract and be there long term. Like, why would the Red Wings make a trade for him and then, I don't want to sign with you either? Like, now you're in that position. So you have to allow, if you really want to get rid of him, or he wants to leave and you want to get maximum assets back for him, you need to allow his agent to go and talk to the Red Wings. You need to let him go talk to the Islanders or the Ducks or like whoever is going after him, because it's just asinine. It's the asset management for the Senators right now, to me, is pretty pitiful with Alex DeBrincat. Like, you could have got a lot more from him probably at the draft if you would have just slightly lowered your price, because now you're going to get desperate at one point because it's like, well, what are we going to do with him? DeBrincat can hold out if he wants to. I don't know if that's in his best interest. I think he holds all the cards, man. I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. Send me somewhere I want to go. I'll sign a contract with him. You get your assets and we move on. And I really hope that it's the Red Wings, because damn it, do we need a 40-goal scorer. We need somebody on that top line that can put the puck in the net. I'm going to just go on a limb and say if they trade for Alex DeBrincat and they don't really give up anything too crazy and roster players, stuff like that, I really think that this team, constructed as it is right now, could sniff a wild card spot. I know that might kind of ruffle some feathers, but hey, we've been waiting long enough. We need that top line guy. With the roster they have now, I think they're going to basically be in the same spot that they were last year, unfortunately. I can say that they are better. They've got better. I think they're going to be tougher to play against. I think standings-wise is what I'm saying. I think they're going to be probably in the middle of the pack, which, hopefully they're not picking 9th overall again. Hopefully we're kind of in the middle. I don't think this is a year that you would want to see them tank, right? Maybe this is the year we get lucky and we finish like 10th and we win the lottery and we're first overall. I don't know. But going forward, I mean, Alex DeBrincat would be an amazing fit for this team. I keep looking on Twitter, but I gotta say, guys, and maybe you feel the same way, getting a little burnt out. Stevie, let's get it done. Let's get this guy in here. He wants to come to Detroit. Get him in the winged wheel. We're all gonna love him here.